What were the intelligence failures that led to the Bay of Pigs? Have you ever wondered how a well-planned operation can go so wrong? The Bay of Pigs invasion is a perfect example of this. In April 1961, the United States attempted to overthrow Fidel Castro's government in Cuba, but it ended in failure. Several intelligence failures contributed to this disastrous outcome. First, the Central Intelligence Agency underestimated the strength of Castro's forces. They believed that Castro's regime was weak and that a small group of Cuban exiles, known as Brigade 2506, could easily spark a popular uprising. This assumption turned out to be false. Castro's military was well prepared and loyal, defeating the invaders in just 2 days. Second, the CIA misjudged the political and military situation in Cuba. They thought that Cuban citizens would rise up in support of the invasion. However, that anticipated popular revolt never happened. This miscalculation stemmed from a lack of reliable intelligence on the ground and an over-reliance on optimistic reports from exile groups. Third, the operation suffered from poor planning and coordination. The CIA did not have a solid plan for what to do if the invasion failed. They assumed that if Brigade 2506 was overwhelmed, the United States government would step in militarily. However, President John F. Kennedy decided against direct military involvement, leaving the brigade isolated and vulnerable. Fourth, the CIA's desire to maintain plausible deniability complicated the operation. They wanted to disguise U.S. involvement, which limited the resources and support that could be provided openly. This secrecy weakened the chances of success. Last-minute changes and the complexity of the plan further undermined its effectiveness. Finally, the leadership underestimated the consequences of failure. There was no clear plan for what would happen after the invasion, and the CIA did not fully consider the diplomatic and regional repercussions. The failure of the invasion damaged the United States' reputation and strengthened Castro's position, impacting U.S.-Latin American relations for years to come. From a Latin cultural perspective, the Bay of Pigs invasion is often viewed as an example of foreign interference and a lack of respect for Latin American sovereignty. The intelligence failures reflected a misunderstanding of the political realities and sentiments within Cuba and the broader region. The operation's failure reinforced distrust toward U.S. intentions in Latin America and highlighted the risks of covert actions that ignore local contexts. The intelligence failures leading to the Bay of Pigs invasion included underestimating Castro's strength, misreading Cuban political dynamics, poor operational planning without contingency strategies, excessive secrecy limiting support, and ignoring broader regional implications. These mistakes culminated in a swift defeat that had lasting consequences for U.S.-Latin American relations.